going to be about shaping it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by throwing a cylinder. If you missed those other two videos, you can watch them. I have two videos, one that's more of like a abbreviated version, and a nice long one that goes into the steps. So right now I have a cylinder. You usually want to start off with the cylinder before you start doing other shapes, with the exception being like a plate. Usually you want to start off with a plate being that original gumdrop shape that we had. The inside should be relatively the shape that you want it to be. So if I'm going to make a bowl, which is what I'm going to do with this, I want it to make sure that I've got enough height first, so start with your height. It's okay if it's wider too, because if it's going to be a fairly decent sized bowl, then you want to have a nice wide opening. And then you can shape it with your hands. Now I have quite a bit of clay still at the bottom of mine, so when I shape it, what I'm going to do is I am essentially going to pull up like I have been, and then my inside hand is going to speed up, and it's going to be pushing rather than pushing together like this and pulling up. Your inside hand is actually going to be above, and you're going to pull out a little bit. It should be going slowly, so if it's not going slowly, make sure it is. You're going to grab from the bottom. Start pulling up. Mine is a little bit dry on the outside, so I'm going to give it just a touch more water. So I'm going to start pulling upward. Hopefully you can see. Oh no, you can't see. Don't try to force it all at once. Breaks. If you're like, take your hands off. Try again. Get some more water on it. Maybe you just need a little more water. Too much water can make it a little floppy though, so just keep that in mind. And it's starting to widen now. If you feel comfortable using a sponge, use a sponge. There's nothing wrong with a sponge. Like I said, I'm just using a sponge so that the whole thing collapse. That's okay, you know, try your best. If it collapses, start over again. Now, we have other things too. So, say your clay is kind of floppy, it's really, really wet. You can switch to using a rib. There's all kinds of shapes in there. So if I switch to a rib that maybe has a curved edge, like you can kind of see on here, it's a little bit messy now. I can use this to kind of push and shape my walls. Now be careful because you're actually removing the slip at the same time. So if you put your finger in here, you're actually going to knock everything off. Off center is what I mean. And remember too, when you get up to the top, slowly ease the pressure off of it. Otherwise you'll just make everything off center. I think I forgot to wedge this piece of clay. There's a big old bubble in it. Sometimes that happens, you get air bubbles in it. And it's just, more than anything, it's just annoying. And it, you know, it can compromise the strength of your piece, but for beginner, it's okay if there's an air bubble here and there. I'm going to take my tool, my J tool, and I'm going to cut the base just like I have been doing. Clean it up. Tool. Clean it up. Pull it off. Dude does not want to let go. Okay. Once that is off, and you're looking at it, if you're like, I like that, then you can pull it off. But if there's something else you want to do, you can totally add other things. Maybe you want to put some lines in it. Maybe you want to do something crazy. You ready? You can do something crazy. Maybe you want to change the overall shape of it. So maybe I want to push this in a little bit. Sort of like fancy shape on it. I do that differently over here, didn't I? This is how you would make a spout too. I don't know what you want to do with your piece, but you can do all kinds of beautiful things with ceramics. You don't have to make the same bowls as everybody else. You can make yours unique. Now, be careful because you can tear it, but you'll find it's actually quite flexible in this stage, and because it's stuck to your bat, you can do so much with it. You can play around with it. You can make it organic. So maybe I want to do something crazy like this. I don't know. You know, it's your project. You play around with it. If you like something, you can keep that. Or if you don't like it, you just wedge it into a new ball and you change it into something else next time. All right? So say I'm happy with this, right? Now I'm going to cut it off. Now, it's kind of fragile at this state. There are times that you can leave it on your bat, but you're only going to be allowed to leave it on your bat for a day. You're going to have to come back at the end of the day and take it off of the bat. All right? Otherwise, it'll dry out. Sometimes it won't dry out completely, but in most cases, it's going to dry out. You can also use the pot lifts to move it, or turn off my wheel. You can take the whole thing. Maybe I should clean this first. I'm going to clean the slip off of this. So I cut it, and now I'm going to take the whole wheel bat off. Be careful, this is how I accidentally punched one of my take this whole thing, it's cut, it's just sitting on top and resting, there's no slip on the inside. I'm gonna set it over on the rack. Within the day, I need to bring it, take it off of here, and put it into my box. Otherwise, Miss Morin's gonna recycle it. You'll never see it again. That's how it goes sometimes. All right. Play around with your pieces. Make something neat. Make something different.